Hi everyone and welcome to the Bream Fishing Project. In this episode we are reviewing round 2 of the Atomic Western Australian Bream Boat Series for 2024. This one was held in Mandurah on the Peel Inlet, which is home to both the Serpentine and Murray Rivers. This particular day was a wet, cold and windy day, but the guys still caught some fish. In the winning positions we've got Team Fishcatcher in second place for Mario and Butterbean and third place on the charge fishing, and Carl was nowhere to be seen. Anyway, there's a heap going on. I've got lots to talk about. Let's hit the intros and get straight into it. Here we go.
Welcome to the Bream Fishing Project. This is where you need to be every Tuesday to find out all the latest tips and tricks to help you target bream on lures. You'll get to hear from some of Australia's elite bream competition anglers and see how they were able to achieve their results in competitions around the country. Now, here's your host, the 2019 Hobie Kayak Fishing World Champion, Andrew Deeth.
All right, so first up, I want to talk about the Bream Fishing Project Collective. If you're out there, it doesn't matter whether you're a competition angler or a social fisherman, if you want to level up your bream fishing, I think this is a great place to start. We are putting together what I think is going to be a great resource for anyone that's trying to make their fishing better and have more fun on the water and catch more fish. In any case, we've done one live stream now. We've got a couple more on the way, and I'm looking at some extra content that is exclusive to the Bream Fishing Project Collective. So if you think that's you, then jump over to Bream Fishing Project, so all one word, .supercast.com. There's a sign up page there. You can get yourself involved. Once you do that, shoot me a message, or if I see it, I'll send you a message on Facebook and we'll get you onto the exclusive Bream Fishing Project Collective page. And hopefully you can learn a little bit more about catching bream and join in the fun. All right, so this was a great little episode. Like I said in the intro, cold, wet, windy day on the charge fishing. So that is Carl State's boat, but he wasn't able to fish it, so his two co-anglers are out there and did him proud coming in third place. All right, I think I'm just going to run through the bite periods and what have you for this competition, and then we'll get into the angler interviews. So for this particular day, Sunday the 9th, it was 68 in the fish activity wheel, so reasonable day. Had a minor bite period at 9:11 through to 10:41 a.m. with a major bite period in the back end of the session, so 1:40 through to 4:10. High tide was 11:27 at 0.64 and low tide was at 10:52 p.m. at 0.26 of a metre. All right, let's get into the angler interviews. Let's go. All right, so first up in third place, we've got On the Charge Fishing, but the captain's not here. Anyway, dropping 4 fish for 3.250, I have Matthew DeBoer and Blake Liddelow. Welcome to the show, guys, or welcome back.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
Very good, guys. So you've given Carl the flick, taken his boat out and got a result. How good's that?
Yeah, it's always nice to get on the board.
Very good, very good. All right. Let's go through. So you did try to get down there. So I think, Matt, you tried to go down there for a pre-fish, but had a bit of a drama there.
Yeah. Tried to launch the boat and turned out didn't want to come off the trailer. And the reason to that being was I'd snapped the shaft to the gearbox. So then, that cost me a couple grand to get fixed.
Nothing like losing your motor as you try to start.
Yeah. And it always happens when it's not your stuff either. It's just your luck.
Absolutely.
Got it fixed in the end, so that was the main thing.
Fair enough. All right, so you didn't get out for a pre-fish. So tell us, what you have in mind leading into the event? What did you think you guys were going to do?
Well, I knew the previous couple of months before it that the few of the spots up the river would always hold fish, but like with the weather and the rain, I thought, they might have moved down or not, and hearing a lot of other people where they were going to fish, a lot of them actually headed down. So I just said to Blake, stuff it. We'll just go up anyway and give it a go. And yeah, pretty much first spot we pulled up to, we fished for about 2 seconds and I really couldn't see any fish. So I was like, stuff it, go to the other side of the river. I went to the other side and probably had a fish within about 2 casts. So it was first legal, 34.
Right. Good start.
And then pretty much just stayed on that side of the bank and just cruised upriver, and wasn't long till Blake pulled a 40, which was good.
Okay. All right. So let's go to the 40. Blake, what happened there, mate? What'd you catch it on and how'd you go about getting it?
So I was just threw in a 2.5-inch Z-Man Grub in Grudgeon. It was one of the ugliest looking things I could find in my tackle bag, and figured that I hadn't thrown them for a couple of years and would give it a run. So tied that on, pricked it in a snag, got it clear, and got it to the boat. And we got pretty excited. There was a second fish in the bag, and we had a 34 and a 40 all within the first half hour.
Good start to the day. In terms of structure, tell us about sort of what the river was like where you were fishing.
So it's upriver. There's like sort of big, deep sort of laydowns with like just your general sort of trees in the banks and sort of sandy banks. So that particular fish, there was a snag that was coming out off the bank on a 45, probably 4 or 5 metres off the bank. Just pitched it up hard in against that and let it go down with the current and got the tick and set the hooks.
Okay. And what do you weigh for the comp? So 3.25 for 4 fish. Okay. So your fish are average about 800. What do you reckon that guy was? Was he a kilo?
Yeah, so that was the big brim for the comp. So from memory, it went 1.07, I think.
Yeah, around that, yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right, so great start to the day. How'd the rest of your day play out?
Yeah, pretty good. It was pretty easy, actually. We pretty much had a bag by, an hour, and then just casting and hoping just to upgrade. And yeah, ended up upgrading a few times, and then for a couple of hours, I think we kept catching the same size fish, and we couldn't just upgrade.
Right. And Matt, what were you throwing?
I was throwing the baby by black and gold.
Oh, nice. All right. So I'm curious. I don't remember whether I asked you this last time. How do you rig it?
I just rig it with one treble at the back.
Yeah, okay.
Just find it easier that, I don't really get it snagged as much, and it's easier to roll across the bottom too.
Okay. And what hook are you putting on the back of it?
Size 14 decoy. Or if I run out of them, I just try to find what other trebles are on lures that I don't use.
Yeah, fair enough. Just rape the other ones and use them. Fair enough. All right. In terms of the day, so how many fish do you guys get through, do you reckon?
I reckon we probably boated 40 or 50 legals throughout the day. It was pretty consistent, yeah.
Definitely. And upgraded throughout the day. But I'm told there was just a little bit of heartbreak somewhere in there.
Yeah, I dropped one probably an hour after we had our bag, and we're still searching for more upgrades. I hooked one that dwarfed the 40 that we had in the well, got it clear, did everything right, got it clear of all the structure. Matt was lecking us to the middle, and I just loosened off my drag, so I don't think I had it pinned very well, and the hooks just sort of wriggled out once I let the slack on the rod.
Oh, no. Well, there you go.
But bit gut-wrenching, but what can you do? That's fishing.
Yeah, that's fishing, and you got to hook them to land them, so that's good you hooked it, you saw it. I don't know. It's kind of okay. All right. Was there anything, to me, it's a lot of fish. So was there anything unusual about the day or any other part to the fishing story?
Pretty much just where the fish were sitting, like the amount of rain that we had and that was pushing down river, it was flooding the banks. And to think that the fish was sitting up where the ducks usually would sit was just, it's pretty crazy. Like, you're throwing lures up where you would never think a bream would be swimming around, but it's like they went on a holiday and decided just to swim in places they shouldn't.
It's like a bit like it's opportunistic of them that now they've got the ability to get up into that area and push up and feed there, that they sort of were taking the advantage of it.
Yeah. So you were casting really shallow, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, right up on the bank edge.
Yeah. And then just hopping it back towards the middle, waiting for the tick.
Yeah, just floating around in the wind, like, because the wind was pretty bad. So you're pretty much just casting up the bank and hoping for the best when you're drifting. And because that was the other thing, didn't have spot lock, wasn't working on Carl's boat, so staying on the electric with one leg and arm and trying to cast.
Yep, trying not to fall in.
Yeah.
But the motor was working, so that was good.
That was amazing. At least we could do 5 knots upriver, whatever it is.
Yeah, right. Oh, the electric rod would have been okay. All right, so for the comp, what sort of lines and leaders were you guys running?
All of mine, so I think I had 4 combos with me at the day. So I had 2, which would have been 3 and 4 pounds straight through on my Daiwa feeds. And then I would have had 2 braid and leader combos with 4 pound leader tied on.
Okay. And Matt?
Yeah, I run the old Samurai reaction rods. And yeah, I think I got 14 pound braid and just 4 pound leader, and I run the Shimano Danfords.
Right. Is it braid? Is it Goosen you're running?
I think I can't remember what it is actually. I've had it, probably need to change. It's been on for about 4 years.
Fair enough. And for those of you, anyone that knows Carl's boat, it's a pretty gun boat. What about active target? Did you have a crack with that?
Yeah, that's how I found all the fish. So we pretty much weren't casting where I couldn't see anything swimming around. If you just cast where you wouldn't see anything swimming, you just wouldn't. It's just no hope, really.
It takes a lot of guesswork out of it. You can roll into a bank, throw it down, give it a quick swivel, have a look. If you don't see anything there, you can have a cast if you want, but it could be quite well just wasting your time because you've just visually seen that there isn't anything kicking around.
Right. Okay. So he's got the active target. What size screen's he running for it?
He's got the HGS 12s.
HGS 12, so decent.
Yeah, pretty much
TVs? Yep.
Yeah.
Very good. And with that, are you able to see your lure going down to the fish, or you weren't using it like that?
No, I was practically just using it just to find fish cruising around, swimming. Pretty much that.
Fair enough. All right. So it sounds like a pretty good day to me. You've got 40 to 50 fish. You've got 3.25, which was obviously super competitive. Is there anything else that we need to cover before we move off the fishing?
No, don't think so. I think that sort of wraps it all up.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. Then what did you guys get to take home for third place?
I think it was $400 cash and $500 big brim Blake got.
Yeah, we got camp chairs, a bag of assorted goodies from the round sponsors, which was good as well.
Yeah. Okay, so camp chairs, that's pretty cool. That's an unusual one.
It's handy to have.
Yeah, I was going to say, good price.
Yeah.
And how much did you say was for big brim?
$500.
$500. That's a very cool big brim price.
Yeah, no, it's nice to line your pockets with.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that's a cool rundown, guys. So before we shoot off, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to or say thank you to?
Yeah, probably. Definitely Carl, I reckon. Can't thank Carl enough for giving me the boat to use for the weekend while I was away. Just, you could use anyone's boat, but probably the best one you could get, to use, be lended to.
Absolutely.
Which works out well because our results get the boys AOI or Team of the Year points up too, so they're in a fairly good contention now.
And he's got a good live well, so that was the other good thing about it.
And why do you say that? What sort of live well is it?
Oh, you just pull the fish out and it's like they're more alive when you go to weigh them in.
Right, they're better when you put them in, when you pull them out than when you put them in.
Especially with how the comp was ran. So there was obviously the 2 launch zones, and by launching over in the Murray Bend like we did, you've got to travel by car sort of 15, 20 Ks. So you got to make sure that those fish stay alive for that journey.
Yeah, right. Okay, very cool. All right. Is there anyone else you guys want to thank or we'll head off?
Probably the organisers for the comp.
Yeah, just the organisers and the round sponsors.
Wouldn't have it if it wasn't for them.
Absolutely. All right, guys, that is brilliant. Congratulations. It's been a really interesting little round, and hopefully we get to speak to you again soon, maybe after this weekend.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yes.
All right, guys, have a good night.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, fishing.com.au, your one-stop bream lure and tackle shop. Pick up the latest tackle, including Muscle Vibes, Cranker Crabs, OSB bent minnows, Z-Man Plastics, Eco Deer lures, and Daiwa rods, reels, and tackle. Same-day shipping, shop where the world champion, the Australian champion, and the current ABT champion shops. Fishing.com.au, online or in-store at shop 18/29 Kiora Road, Miranda. All right, so a couple of things come to my attention on the front page. So 3 things I'm going to talk about. First of all, for those of you who heard the Brooklyn round of the AFT comp, where Steve talked about free rigs, in case there's some tungsten sinker weights and what have you on the front page there, so something you want to have a look at. Second, you've got the Daiwa in-feet monster rolling cranks. So these are pre-order at the moment. They might be out by the time this episode goes to air, but they look great to me. Such a big bib. They are going to climb over structure. I hope anyway. They look pretty good to me, so I reckon get yourself into some of those. And one last thing, there's a lure that I've had a bit of success on as we get into the warmer months and the fish get up into the shallows, and that's the Jackal Colt Minnow 65 suspending. So it's super shallow running lure, but it does suspend, and the long profile, particularly if you're down south and you're hitting the blacks up, this would be a good lure to take a look at if you've not had a go. So that's the Jackal Colt Minnow 65. Okay, fishing.com.au. Okay, so up next in second place, I have Team Mario and Butterbean. They dropped 4 fish for 3.3 kilos even. And with me, I have Mitch Clements. So welcome to the show, mate.
Hey, mate, how are you? Thanks for having us.
Mate, I'm very good. Thanks for coming on and saying hello. Mate, it's a nice little comp there for you guys. Second place, you must be pretty happy with that.
Mate, pretty happy with the second place. Mandurah seems to be the place where we do get the second places. About 4 years now we've got second. 1 year we didn't get second, but for the last 4 years we've always come second place to 3 different teams.
So, mate, did you guys get a chance to get down there and have a bit of a look around for a pre-fish leading up to the comp?
Yeah, a couple of weeks prior to that we went down to Mandurah first thing in the morning, had a bit of a pre-fish, but fished some spots where we had usually caught fish before, and then unfortunately all day we couldn't land one legal.
Really?
Yeah.
So no legals?
Couldn't find a single legal anywhere. We've tried 3 or 4 different spots, a few kilometres away from each other as well, and couldn't find a fish over 10 centimetres.
Right, okay. So what was in your mind then with leading into the competition?
We would just pack the boat up that day and go home and rest on it. But what we'd hope for is some rain to come down. And within the next, I think it was a week and a half, that's when the rain started to come through, and that's what would change everything up there. So we weren't too worried as long as the rain had come down.
Yeah, okay. Okay. And then the day before the comp, do you get out and have a look around?
Nah, mate. I'm pretty sure we went for a couple of beers and some lunch and then carried on with the beers, tied some rigs up together, talked about what we're going to do. And yeah, didn't really get out for a look. So.
All right, so your pre-fish hasn't worked that well. What sort of things do you have tied on leading into the comp?
Most comps I will start with a Z-Man Grub in a motor oil on a 112, and I will just work different regions of the water, different depths with it, and I'll try a different retrieval, as where Vane had tied a little baby vibe on. That's what he likes to start with. So we tie those on, and I'm pretty sure he banged the fish straight up. It was illegal, so it sort of made us a bit more confident.
You're right.
And then I just worked the grub a little bit differently and then started to smack them as well. Started to drag it across the bottom and create that more of a dust cloud. And that's when I started to get hits myself.
Right, okay. So Mitch Vane, he got the first fish.
Yeah, he did. He usually does, mate. I'll be at the back of the boat on the net for the majority of these comps. But he got the first one, kick us off for the day.
Okay. And then... So with that, he's up the front on a baby vibe, and you're up the back on a Z-Man Grub.
Yep, that's it. Yeah.
Okay. And how do you guys work? Are you working along a bank, and he's casting, and how's it work?
Yeah, so he would cast. He's pretty good a skipper, man. Like he keeps the electric in good contact and keeps the boat well to like the side of the bank. So we both get an opportunity to fish and not casting over each other. And if he misses a bite, he'll tell me where it was, and I'll cast over and try to hook up behind him just to throw something different, and sometimes it does work.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so it's a proper team.
Yeah.
So tell us about the rest of your day. So you must have got some fish. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, we got a few good fish. We've seen the guys who won the comp, Dave and Paul, they were around the same area as well. Waved at them and then kept on fishing the opposite side of the bank. There was one fish I remember. We went back into like the middle of the river just so I could have a bit of a smoke and a wee break, and I had thrown my plastic out and slowly working it back with one hand, and I hooked up and I landed a 39 centimetre bream right in front of Matt and Blake, who finished up third for the day, who then stayed around in the same sort of area and kept on fishing as well.
Right, okay. And was that on the grub as well?
Yeah, that was on the grub. I didn't change too much from the grub. I tried a swims and a streaks during the comp, but I found the grub was most effective for myself. However, the baby vibe for Vane, that was his magic all day.
Right. So you got a 39.
Yeah.
And what else do you end up with in the bag?
I think it was a 34, 2 37s and a 39 from memory.
Okay. Yeah, so pretty decent.
Yeah. We hadn't thought we'd got second though. We thought maybe back towards 9, 8 with that bag. And then we seeing other boats throughout the river just not catching or not getting any bites as we were passing them. So we thought, maybe something a little bit better than 8th or 9th.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, it turned out a little bit better. But what about structure? Were you fishing edges? Were you fishing the middle of the river, or how that looked?
The structure, we're fishing the side of the structure, and it drops down from about 2 meters down to about 6 meters, and just slowly working our lure through the water there.
Right. So they're basically dropping it sort of straight off the edge, 90 degrees to the bank, or kind of 45?
Yeah, throwing it about 45 to the bank, trying to deal with the wind as well, and then working it back and letting it go down to the bottom. And yeah.
And I figure if one of you's got a baby vibe and one of you've got a grub, you're both probably working the bottom of the water structure, the column, I'd expect.
Yeah. Yeah, I was changing a bit. I did end up changing my 112 to a 132, letting it slowly sink down. Didn't actually work too well for me.
Okay.
Not too many fish came right off the side of the bank. They were probably about a metre or two off.
Yeah, right.
But, yeah, it worked well.
Between the two of you, do you know who put the fish in the well? You obviously put the 39.
This is a funny story. I definitely put the biggest fish in the well. And then at the weigh-ins, I went to go grab a couple waters. And then Vane sort of left with the fish with one of our other mates, Michael Smott. And they've gotten photos as if they were a team. So I was not even involved in the team photos, and I've come out after grabbing a few sodas and was looking to get some photos with Vane, but the fish had already had their photos taken.
The fish had their photo taken, being released?
Yeah. So that's all right. Vane usually does a lot better in Mandurah. Like, we've had 4 comps before. We finished second and got, 340s and a 38 and thought we'd won it. And Vane usually smacks the big ones. But this time I did get one up on him.
Yeah, how good's that?
Yeah, I feel it was amazing. But he probably did put the more consistent fish in the well that day.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but the biggest one's the one that gets you over the line.
Yeah, it does.
Fair enough. All right. And what sort of lines and leaders and stuff are you running for the day?
I was just fishing 6 pound Tasman, and then I was changing up between a 6 and an 8 pound leader.
Okay, so I'd say reasonably heavy.
Yeah. The fish do run into the structure quite fast there, so you do have to be onto it.
Yeah. Throughout the day, did you drop any where you went, oh, that was one that we needed?
No, I don't think so. Oh, yeah, we did actually. As we're heading to the boat ramp to get the boat back on the trailer to head back to the weigh-in, there was a fish that Vane had hooked and took him under some snags, and we tried to retrieve it. And this was in front of everyone as well, so they all knew that we had a good fish. We tried to retrieve it and, had no luck.
Okay. So you hooked what could have been.
Yeah, we like to say it wasn't. We like to be positive and say it did get snapped off because it wasn't the big bream that we were after.
Right. Fair enough. All right. Well, look, it worked out pretty well anyway. You didn't quite get first place, but second place is pretty cool.
That's it, man. Always happy with that.
I was going to say, at the start of the comp, I'd take second place every time.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, mate. For second place, what do you guys get to take home?
I think we got $500 cash. We also got 2 of those Akuma reels and a bunch of lures and goodies.
Okay.
So, it was quite good, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And you were saying before we hit record that you use your Akuma reels and you kind of like them.
I do, mate. Yeah, I got both the Akuma reels. So I didn't let Vane have one. And I've been using them off my boat for squid and occasionally bream as well. And they're actually not bad reel, mate. I actually do enjoy them.
Oh, how good's that?
Yeah, it's definitely good when you get something in the prize packs you can actually use.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. All right, mate, that's very cool. All right, before we shoot off, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to or say thank you to?
Yeah, just the organisers from the WA tournament anglers, like the series of Bream Classics. They do an unbelievable job, mate. There's a few things that people are always happy with and unhappy with, but they are always there and they're doing their best to keep it up. And without them, we wouldn't have these comps or you'd be able to make these friends or do these calls like we are now. So, yeah, I really love what they do. And, yeah, it's been amazing.
Yeah, mate, from the other side of the country, it looks pretty cool over there. You got a great little crew. Only a few waterways, but you get some really good bags at times.
Yeah, that's it, mate, yeah.
All right, mate. That is brilliant, mate. Thank you so much for coming on, and hopefully we get to talk to you again in the future.
No worries, mate. Thank you very much for having me.
No worries at all. All right, if you're in the market for a new fishing kayak or looking to make some upgrades to your existing kayak, or possibly looking at fishing kayak fishing tournaments, then HWS is the place to go. They have a full range of Hobie kayaks, stock the latest kayak accessories, and are really dialed in when it comes to the best kayak fishing setup for the casual fisher and the tournament angler. hws.com.au, online or in store at Shop 3/638 Pacific Highway, Belmont. James offers free delivery on Hobie kayaks across all Greater Sydney, Central Coast and Hunter. All right, so look, if you're interested in getting into a kayak but want to spend just a little bit less, then right now the Hobie Mirage Passports, the 10.5s and the 12s on sale. They're under $2,000 each. And they're also, this is the cheapest they've ever been since they've been introduced. And at some point, this sale will end and they'll go back up to their normal price. So look, if you're interested in them, duck down and see James. Have a look whether you're in the smaller one, the 10.5 or the 12 is up to you. But it's a great way to get yourself in a Hobie and get out there pedaling around and catching a fish just in time for summer. So hws.com.au. Okay, so up next in first position, I have Team Fishcatcher. They dropped their 4 fish for 3.511 kilos. I have Paul, Furlong and Dave Eccelston. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hey, Dave.
Andrew, how you going?
I'm good. Now, we've had a little bit of a chat leading up to this, and you guys had a fantastic day. So I'm cheering about getting into this and telling your story. But maybe we'll start with your pre-fish. Did you guys get out to have a bit of a look around leading up to the competition?
Yeah, we did. We managed to get out twice, and we sort of fished in the same river, but we split what we did over the 2 days just to rule out a couple of options. Went up river first on the first pre-fish and, fished some of the bends in some of the deeper timber. Casting hard bodies, we were throwing dial spike 44s. And
I was throwing plastics around.
Yeah, and jackal chubbies, and it did pretty well.
Yeah, okay.
Sort of got bags of fish in that sort of mid-30s range, and in June in the Murray, a bag of fish in that range is kind of get you in that sort of 3 kilo range. We thought we'd be pretty happy with that. It should hopefully get us in the prizes. So we're pretty happy with that. And then the second pre-fish.
We ended up going back down to where we won it a couple of years before.
Yeah.
On the Ravenswood Bridge. We really struggled. I think you got one small fish, and that was it.
Yeah, and the further downriver we went, the worse it got.
It felt worse, more barren. So we decided to go back up,
repeated the pattern,
and that was it. Yeah, and it was kind of the pre-fish.
Right. Okay. So when you won it a couple of years ago, what was your pattern there?
I'd actually gone down for a couple of pre-fishes, I think, without Dave, and I'd gone down a bit further to this place called Bondi's Bend, where there's some deep timber. I was throwing an old school red spike. And I managed to catch a few really good fish. So we went straight down there comp day and got one good fish right at the end of that stretch. And then as we were heading back up, we thought we'd stop at the bridge. And
we'd actually seen a dead brim float past us earlier. And I think Trav and Josh had come past and they'd caught nothing. And they were like, oh, no, we're out of here. So we were kind of feeling a bit down. And then we just had this hour of power on the bridge where we're throwing baby vibes, Sprat 75s, and just smacked them. Just got
crabs.
Got a good brim, I think 1.1 something.
Yeah.
And just, in an hour, filled a bag that we were over the moon with, and we ended up putting the boat back on the trailer and relaunching in town, and got an upgrade in town, and then just cruised around waiting for the weigh-in. It was an awesome day.
So that's what we went with our pre-fish on, and it just didn't kind of pan out that way. We went back upriver.
Yeah, right. Okay, so that was not last year, but the year before?
Yep.
Yeah, perfect. All right, and then back to your pre-fish for this year. Did you guys work out any patterns for comp day or what you thought were going to be patterns?
Well, we found fish very close to structure. So if you weren't casting onto the timber and hitting the timber within the first crank, you weren't going to catch a fish. That was basically it. That was the only way we could kind of catch fish.
Yeah, they were all on the deeper side of the bend.
Yeah, the deeper river.
We fished the shallow sides and we caught nothing but yellowtail grunter, lots of them. So, it was all, we were looking for big trees, big timber on the deep side of the river, deep diving hard bodies, and that was the plan.
Yeah, right. Okay. All right. So let's roll into comp day. Now, the weather forecast apparently was not great. Tell us about how your day went and how it panned out.
Yeah, well, we launched at Murray Bend. We thought we'd kind of just do what we did in pre-fish. Even though the weather was different, we had a lot more rain. We thought there might be a bit more flow, a bit more fresh flow maybe.
Yeah, but there wasn't that much flow.
No, there wasn't, surprisingly not.
Yeah, we had 100 mil of rain in the 2 weeks prior, and it hadn't rained for about 8 months before that. Thought it might change up the system a bit, but it didn't do too much. The water was really high, but that was really due to barometric pressure.
Residual tide.
Yeah.
There's a lot more residual tide.
Yeah, so it was higher. When we launched at 7, the water level was higher than the predicted high tide at midday.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting.
So
Yeah.
There was a lot of water.
And that just kind of got me excited a bit because I was thinking there'll be more of the timber in the water to actually drag your lure down.
And I thought it'd be harder for the town guys because you wouldn't be able to get under some of the jetties and that because the water's up so high you can't skip under it.
Too high.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we weren't really sure what was going to happen.
Yeah. In terms of the wind and rain and the forecast, it was forecast to be really bad, but it wasn't that bad.
Definitely
Upriver was
wasn't bad.
fairly protected and we got a bit of rain, but not much. And the wind wasn't too bad at all, really.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Tell us about how your day started, where your first fish came.
We pulled up. We went up to one of the spots that was most productive in pre-fish, and I think you were throwing the spike round. I think within 3 or 4 casts, 5 casts maybe, you got a 32 or 33 tipper on board.
Yeah, so that was a good start this morning. Get rid of the nerves and that.
Get one. There's the goal, one, not donut.
Yeah,
that's right.
It.
We had one in the well.
First goal done.
So, that worked out pretty good. And then, so that had us feeling good. And then we could see Matt and Blake were fishing the opposite side of the river, a little bit further downriver than us. And we could see them sort of catching fish after fish. And we just assumed that they'd be onto the yellowtail grunter that we found in pre-fish. So we weren't too worried about that. And then at one point, we hadn't caught a fish in, it's probably half an hour, but on comp day, it feels like 5 hours. Yeah, so I'll turn around and I'll see those guys and they got the net out and they're dancing around the front of the bass boat. And I'm like, oh no, they're onto one here.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, they bagged one and that was Blake's big brim for the event. So that was cool to see. It was frustrating because we'd only caught one fish, but then at the same time, it was cool to know we're in the right area. So, we continued fishing a little bit, I moved a few hundred metres upriver, probably half a K upriver.
Got into the corner sort of thing of the bend.
Yeah, and then moved over to the sort of the other side, the shallow side where there's some Melaleucas and things and some beaches.
It's still around that 2 metre mark. It's not super shallow.
Yeah.
Sort of, it comes up. It's not as much of a steep drop-off. It's more of a full decline, but you're still fishing 1.5 to 2 metres.
Sure.
And then we just sort of moved upriver a bit. And
that was the right move because probably within 5 minutes we'd filled the rest of the bag and then started getting into upgrades.
Got to the sandy beach and I thought I'll just ping a baby vibe right onto the sand and a couple of hops and it went crunch.
Yeah.
Right. So, wow.
It was on. From then it was on.
Yeah.
Okay. Which baby vibe were you throwing?
Just a little black and gold.
Yeah, okay. Just one of the basic colours. And single hook or double hook?
Just a single. Just the
single on the rear.
Yeah, just a treble on the rear.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's one of the big debates is like, should you have 2 or should you have 1? But yeah, there's definitely a pattern out of Perth to just run 1. So maybe that could be to do with the running it through snags and stuff like that. Or I'm not quite sure.
Yeah. But I used to actually fish the bigger one with 2, and I used to catch quite a lot of fish on that, and I'd always catch bigger fish. But for some reason, I went away from that, and I've just been fishing the small one.
Yep. That's how it rolls. Something new comes out.
Yeah, that's right. But I've still got a heap of the big ones still. I just don't use them. I should try again, really.
Well, there you go. They might be the upgraders for you.
Right.
All right. So you started catching fish. How'd the rest of your day go?
Well, we sort of, the beaches are only quite small, these sandy beaches that we found, and there's like a snag at each end, and there's one had a snag in the middle.
Yeah.
They're only like 30 metres each sort of sand bit. So we just went up and back. We just went up, turned around, came back, and just did that for most of the day.
But it got fairly crazy because, like, whenever we found something in the Melaleucas and we were getting the odd fish, like a fish every 4 or 5 casts, which we were really happy with. But as soon as we hit those beaches where the cattle come down, and so there's no trees, it's kind of been trampled. And
there was lots of water up on it, though.
Yeah.
It was full of water.
Yeah, that's true.
So
they, like, in those beaches where there's no snags really or anything, it was fish a cast. And we'd catch 10 fish from the same stretch of like 30 metres. And then we would just use the lecky motor, go up to the next beach, catch another 10 fish from there, go back to the other beach, catch another 10 fish. But they were all really that same size. They were all sort of 35 tip, and I'm managing the live well down the back of the boat. So every time we're catching a fish, like, I'll net it, unhook it, throw Paul's lure back in the water for him, and then I'm on the balance beam, on the cull tags, and by the time I can work out which 35 was heavier than the other 35, he's already got another fish on the deck, and it just went on forever, and it was pretty awesome. That they were going hard. They were nice,
angry.
fat
They were
fish.
certainly angry. It was rods bent, screaming drags, like it was on.
Yeah, it was real good.
Right.
Super fun.
Wow.
Then we'd worked out as well that both of us had real good hookups of fish that took a lot of line and pulled hooks on them. And we'd worked out that each of those all came from like the ends of the beaches where the beaches would tie back into the trees.
Okay.
So in the middle of the beach, you could catch as many 35 tippers as you wanted. But on the edges, we were catching what felt like slightly better fish. And then, Paul got a 39 out of there, which we were calling from a mile away. We kind of started chasing it down with a lecky. It was running stupid.
It didn't really head shake. It just sort of like screamed off. And I thought, it's just a soap. We both looked at each other like, what can I do? I run pretty heavy drag. You know, I run Certates with pretty much lock drag. And this thing, it took off.
It was going really hard. Yeah, we sort of started laughing at it. And then when we saw it, we're like, oh, my God, it's actually a brim.
I just had to wind against drag almost. And, it came up and I thought, it's a decent brim.
Yeah.
And it was fish of the day for us anyway. It was pretty crazy.
So, we kind of refined that beach pattern down to focusing mostly on the edges of those beaches. And then, we sort of slowly but surely managed to upgrade the 35s throughout the day. And then we still had 135 in the bag at the end of the day, but by the time it came to weigh-in, we'd upgraded. Well, I mean, we upgraded multiple times throughout the day, but we upgraded a 35 for another 35 that was just slightly heavier.
On the balance being just heavier.
Yeah.
But
I think in the end it was like 35, 36, 37 and 39 or something like that.
Yeah, it was around that. It was pretty good.
Wow. It sounds like a bit of a perfect storm in a lot of ways. Like you've had a bit of rain leading up to the event. The water levels are higher than what you expected. And then you've found this unusual sort of structure where you've got beach that's been trampled and flattened out. And for whatever reason, the fish have congregated there. Like it sounds very cool.
Yeah, it was definitely an unusual place to find fish for us.
Because normally, if you're not bumping timber, you're not catching fish normally.
Yeah.
That's the way Murray generally works.
Yeah, no, it sounds about right.
It is quite an odd pattern that was, but they seem to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Wow.
We just couldn't do anything wrong, really, it felt like.
And we didn't have anyone else come up through that part of the river throughout the day really either. Like we had Mitch and Mitch were fishing a little bit further up from us, but all within eyesight.
Yeah, we're all within eyesight.
Yeah, Matt and Blake, who finished third, were within eyesight just a little bit downriver from us, and we were in the middle. And those guys, they were all having a great time. We were yelling at each other and having a great time. It was awesome.
It was pretty good.
Very cool. All right. Let's run through the, was there any particular technique for working the baby vibes or anything flash going on there?
Not really. It was kind of just cast in and let it sit so you watch your line go slack so you know it's on the bottom. You could cast right up on the beach or you could cast off a bit. It didn't seem to matter.
No, they were on.
And even like the first top, or sometimes I'd say, there's one on it, and you could feel them, like you said, look, that they sort of chew on it, and you just sort of the rod and it's like, there's one, and just start winding because they're going hard.
Yeah, you just wind them on.
And you just wind them on,
Yeah, plenty of fish were caught before the bail arms clicked over.
Yeah.
And just, you put the cast in the right spot, they were eating it.
No, eating it. You could just feel, you could actually feel them on the end of the line. Sort of like almost they were sitting on it, just chewing on it for a bit.
Yeah, I think with those things, they're trying to crack them. They're trying to crack them open.
Yeah.
So they've got to move it around their mouth.
Yep.
All right, so what sort of lines and leads were you running? You were saying you run a pretty heavy set drag. What do you?
I fish P.6 and then I fish like 2 rod lengths of sort of 4 pound. I'm only fishing fairly light leaders as well. But I certainly like to lock the drag up. I'm a bit of if it's pulling string, it's a good fish kind of fish.
Yeah.
That's why I like to fish.
Yeah, I'm similar. I'm running, I think 0.8, 0.6, a mixture of 0.8 and 0.6 Gosson casting, and then just 4 pound FC rock, about a rod and a half length the leader.
Okay, so pretty standard. And what sort of length rods are you running?
I run 7.3 in feet. It's pretty much my go-to. I run 2 of them, and then the 7 foot in-feet the white model. I usually start with the vibe on that one. I find that softer tip because I run a heavy drag. I can let the rod do a bit more work and not pull as many hooks usually.
Yeah, right.
That's kind of the way I like to fish.
And I'm running a full suite of Miller rods. Got the 2 grub freaks, 2 twitch freaks, a brawler, and a flat freak.
Okay. And what do you like for the baby vibe out of those?
Normally I would throw it on the twitch freak, but I had them rigged up with the spike and the chubby because of our game plan. So when Paul started getting some fish on the baby vibe, I actually cut off the plastic and threw it on the grub freak.
Yeah, right.
And the grub freak's a great all-rounder. You can pretty much do anything on it. So, yeah, no, it works totally fine. It's good.
Yeah, what I liked about the story was you pretty much rigged up to fish the, I guess, the outside bends of the river, so the deeper areas. And then on the day, that wasn't the plan. Like you needed to switch to the shallow side, so the slow.
That quick. It was good.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Well, that was enough to get you with 3.51 kilos for 4 fish, which is pretty solid. And first place, what did you guys get to take home for first place? Do you remember?
It was just $1,200 cash between us.
Yeah, 600 each and a big novelty check.
Big novelty check each.
Couple of big checks.
Which is awesome.
Yep.
Bragging rights for another year.
That's it. Go with the other one.
How good's that? All right. One more thing before we shoot off. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to or say thank you to?
Yeah, well, the Wata crew for starters. I think and all the sponsors that sponsor the events. You know, they put on a really good event and a good show, and it's quite a social kind of turnout until it gets on the water. You know, everyone's really social. It's really we all kind of fish a little bit together socially as well, which is pretty cool.
Especially like the Murray round or the Peel Inlet round. It's a split launch as well, so you can launch in town or you can launch up in the Murray River. And for the tournament organisers to do the setup, do the pack up, do the weigh in, but also monitor the ramps and fish the event. It's a bit of an effort. So yeah, it's really cool that they get it done for us.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
It is. It's really good.
Yeah.
Probably like to thank my wife for letting me go fishing with Paul every Saturday morning.
Yeah, mine too. We fish quite a lot together socially.
Yeah, great.
We spend quite a time on the water together, which is good.
Yep.
So yeah, both our wives. I think it's a good shout out.
And we also want to thank Peter de Groot because he's the baby vibe king. He loves Mandurah, and if he had been fishing the event,
anything could have happened. Really,
he probably would have taken out. So for him not fishing the event, we'll just say thanks to Peter for not getting into it.
Very good. Very good. All right. Well, there you have it, guys. All right. Well, that's a great story. Congratulations on the win. And hopefully I get to have a chat to you in the future.
Yeah, Swan round coming up.
Yeah, Swan round in a couple of weeks. So it's on the list. It's one we kind of want to get a hold of.
Yeah. So hopefully talk to you then.
So hopefully we can talk to you then.
Yeah, that'd be good. Is that, what's the date of that one?
13th or 14th. I think it's the middle of October, the Sunday.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, we're into daylight savings over here, so very good.
Okay.
All right, guys, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much. Congratulations, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Cool.
Well, thank you, Andrew. We'll talk to you then.
Cheers.
All right, so there you have it, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that one. One of the things that surprises me is I don't know, and please send me a message and correct me if I'm wrong, but over in Western Australia, it's the only place I know of where they consistently or often use red lures, so red coloured lures like the spike and what have you, as mentioned in one of the interviews there. So yeah, please let me know if you're using red in a different part of the country. I'd like to hear about it. All right, so one thing that I haven't spoken about for a while is yoga. So if you're interested in getting into it, Jamie has a 40-day challenge coming up. Now, it's going to be relatively cheap to get involved in, but she's going to have some flow, so some little practices that you can do online. And if you want to get involved, doesn't matter where you are in the country. If you're in the Shire or close, you can come down to the studio and join in. So probably best bet to have a look at that is, so look, if you want to take part of it, I'm going to put a link in the show notes. So if you're on Apple or Spotify, there should be a link in the notes there. You can just click and go and have a look at the 40-day challenge that Jamie's got going on at Sacred Soul Wellness and hopefully get yourself in a little bit better health. Going to be a bunch of things there, not just the flows, but also a bit of breath work and stuff, which will get you going. And finally, like I said in the start of the show, the collective, we are firing on all fours. Likewise, there will be a link in the show notes. So you don't have to type it in. You just got to have a look and hit the button and off you go. All right, I'm going to leave it there and I will talk to you next week on the Bream Fishing Project. Thanks for listening in.
Thanks for listening. Hopefully you were informed, inspired and entertained. If you were able to learn something or just enjoyed listening, please consider subscribing and rate us on your favourite podcasting platform.